Welcome to Paddock Talk, and this week we've got the big news. Fernando Alonso is staying at Aston Martin, at least until 2026. He said it's the longest contract he's ever signed with anybody in his history of Formula One. And well, is he racing beyond 2026? I don't think so with exactly what he means is, although it's just more that he's going to be linked with Aston Martin, more like an ambassadorial contract role it'll change into when he decides to hang up his gloves. But it's a big statement from Fernando. He said it was an easy decision. He'd hinted at this sort of staying at Aston earlier on in the season, but with the Lewis Hamilton move, Sergio Perez, contract up, and the potential for a move going up into a big team, I think he was always going to look around and see which option was best. Personally, I am, I'm a bit here or there, not neither here or there on this one, to be honest with you. I think it would have been nice to see him move into a Red Bull or a Mercedes, a team that should be fighting right up at the front. Particularly Red Bull with him battling with Max Verstappen, it would have been absolutely fantastic, the pair of them. But we do know that Christian Horner isn't a big fan of Fernando Alonso, is he? They're going in and disrupting the harmony of the team and things like that. He was a bit wary of that. Alonso does have a bit of a history of that, which I don't think is a little bit unfair, to be honest. I think he's just super ultra competitive, and he does everything to take advantage of that. And Mercedes, I think they see Alonso as a option B, really. I think they want to see what's happening with Kimi Antonelli, and I think that's why Fernando is, he's the A man at Aston Martin, isn't he? And why would he want to move away from that? He said it's a lifetime project there for him. So, who would have thought he'd be happy with that? I mean, citing Honda as, their partner who will join Aston Martin and powered Aston Martin from 2026 onwards. Who would have thought we'd see that collaboration again after him sounding, GP2 still sounding down the radio, still rings clear. I'm sure it does in Honda's ears as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see them coming back together. He spoke very highly of Honda, and no doubt, they've since powered Red Bull to 2 World Championships. Looks like we're on course for the 3rd, isn't it, this season? And yeah, they've made big gains. 2026 is a massive change. Honda should be, the ones in there with a shout, haven't they? They've got the tools to produce some magic here. They are going more on the side of hybrid, using the battery powered and things like that. So could that favour Honda? Who knows? Who's got the magic when it comes to the 2026 regulations? We'll find out. So with all that in mind, it looks like a good place for Aston Martin to stay, really. They're investing heavily. They've built a new factory. They're getting in the right guys, and actually when you look at the jump that they made, probably not this season but last season, to go from way back to right in the hunt, sort of second fastest, weren't they? Yes, they've lost their way a little bit since then. It was probably always going to happen, but you can see the progression and the steps made. And at the moment they're in the battle, aren't they, with sort of Mercedes at the moment. So is it a good time to go to Mercedes? I think the only real option that Alonso probably wanted was Red Bull. Seen that was off the cards, and he's stuck with Aston Martin, which I'm glad to see. He's still racing, he's still on it, and we'll be seeing him on the grid in 2026. Probably the last chance of, if Aston Martin get it right, for a championship battle and a fight to get his 3rd championship, isn't it? Is ultimately what he's going for, Fernando Alonso, although he did say that that's not really his target at the moment, isn't it? It's trying to move and do things well with Aston Martin, and he's quite happy with where he is. So yeah, interesting approach, but that's one big seat off the table now, isn't it, with sort of 11 or 12 seats still remaining up for grabs. So there's plenty still movement going on in this driver market. It's definitely not ended with this news. And the next big one is the 2025 championship calendar has been revealed. The Australian Grand Prix will be the first season opener, and you see me banging on at how when we got to Australia, oh, it's a traditional season opener, it's fantastic when it starts. And actually it's going to be the season opener. The season starts 2 weeks later than we had this year, but it's going to finish 1 day earlier than this year as well, so it's a more compact calendar in certain parts. Like this time we've got quite a big gap in October, November. This season that disappears. Next season, Bahrain and Saudi are moving effectively. They're now going to be race 4 and 5. They'll take place after Japan. Japan actually takes place the same time or the same April weekend that it did this year. Next year, it's just a small jig around on that. I think there's Ramadan starting, so they will not in March, so they will happen in April, May. Bahrain and Saudi. The other change is Hungary is switching over with Belgium, and that's a swap around there. And also there's a 3-week break now between the Silverstone Grand Prix and Belgium, so a new little break added in there for the season. And it's probably a good time to take it because all the team personnel are home. They don't have to fly back home for a break or whatever. Most of them are UK based, or most of the teams are UK based, so then they can have just a small break before they head off to Belgium there. There's no sprint races confirmed yet, but I imagine that after we've had sort of 4 or 5 of them and they've seen how they've played out at the various circuit that they've picked for this season, they'll then select where we will go for them next season. So I imagine an announcement towards the end of the year or the end of the racing year for that. And then the other one, and finally, Andretti Racing. Yes, they haven't gone away, have they? They've opened their factory in Silverstone, a new state-of-the-art facility. It will be a satellite factory from their main one in the US. They've got one in Banbury as well. So, yeah, it's a big statement, isn't it, from Andretti. They're saying that the GM General Motors have started building the 2028 engine. They're also still looking for a spot on the grid for 2026, despite the FIA, FOM really sort of saying no grid place for you guys for 25-26. They're still banking on that 2026 seat, and crucially they are still liaising and in conversation with the FOM about that potential 2026 seat. And I think it does make an awful lot of sense. The way they've placed it is that they want to have at least 2 years before GM come in to get things sorted with the aerodynamic side of things and the car and the running practicalities of running an F1 team, and then having an engine as well, because if you go in 2 together there's a lot to go wrong. Potentially, you know, you're trying to fix the aero side of things and then trying to get your engine side right. It's probably better that they do one and then the other in sort of stages, and that should ease the difficulty and help them be more competitive. Now, you know, they've got 120 staff in the Silverstone office. I think they're moving up to around 400 earmarked that they want to recruit for that. So that's still going ahead, and they're pumping millions into this. So thankfully, Andretti Racing haven't wrapped up the boxes and said, no, that's it, we got rejected and we're leaving it. They're actually pushing pretty much ahead as planned, aren't they? So it'll be fantastic if we can get them on the grid. Honestly, having an 11th team, a full US outfit, it's probably the first time we've had something like that. You know, we've got Haas team as well, haven't they? But it's been done on a minor leagues basis, haven't they, Haas? I think Dallara produced pretty much all of their or most of their parts, and they just buy bits and bobs and they fix some of it in-house. So it'll be interesting to see a big name like Andretti come into Formula 1. Let's hope that they can get something sorted and be on the grid for 2026. I think that'd be a fantastic addition and really light up the F1 field. So let's see how that plays out. But yeah, big step from Andretti. They are still pushing ahead. They're not going to go away, which is great to see. And let's hope we can see them soon. And finally is the news, or well, the rumour, the continued rumour that Adrian Newey is looking at moving from Red Bull, and Ferrari is looking more likely that option now, isn't it? Rumours he was spotted in Bologna Airport just recently. And is that with regards to an offer from Ferrari? Now we know, and there have been rumours and reports that Ferrari have made a big offer, as have Aston Martin. Let's not pull them out of the way. They've made an absolutely massive offer for Adrian Newey. Which proposal would Adrian go for? He's traditionally previously stuck to the UK because his family's all settled there, and therefore if he was to move from Red Bull, Aston might be that team. But he's always said he's had a love and an ambition to work for Ferrari at some point in his career, and like Lewis, he's finally making that work at the final ends of his career. And could Adrian go to Ferrari and make a Ferrari F1 car made by Adrian Newey? That was something that Ferrari probably wanted. They've courted him for many years. It's never really quite got over the line for Ferrari, has it? So with now him wish to work with Lewis Hamilton, final big swing, isn't it, from Adrian? It'll be fantastic to see if something like that could come along. It really would sway the dynamics in the background, isn't it, at Formula One, especially at Red Bull as well, with all that's going on there. Is that what it will take for Red Bull to sort of get the house in order? He handed the resignation, who knows? But yeah, really interesting news to see how that one plays out. Big rumour, that one, really, about Adrian Newey. But yeah, I thought I'd throw it in there because it is massively interesting, exciting. If to see something like that plays around in the background, would be absolutely huge news, wouldn't it? But yeah, there we have it. That's the episode for Paddock Talk. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.